Hey everybody, this is Rob Keens of GoldSilverPros.com. And during this very special presentation, I wanted to bring in a good friend and a patriot. This is Daniel Diaz, Legislative Director for Citizens for Sound Money. Citizens for Sound Money is a nonprofit working to establish and promote the use of sound money in the United States once again. Daniel, how are you?
I am good, Rob. Thank you for having me on.
So real quickly, for people who have never seen you, just give me the 1-minute pitch on who you are and what your experience is and how you got involved in Citizens for Sound Money.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the legislative director. I was recently hired in May of 2023 as the legislative director for Citizens for Sound Money. I am the CEO and co-founder of a couple of blockchain companies, crypto mining and blockchain. So I'm a consultant on the blockchain side of things. And I reached out to Citizens for Sound Money because of one of my projects, which is a gold-backed NFT project, and I needed some educational content about sound money. And I really got into sound money this year, but I was a stockbroker previously. I was in the insurance industry, so I have a pretty good grasp of the financial side of the fiat monetary system. And then prior to that, I was also, and I'm still in politics, I was a lobbyist, political consultant, campaign manager for 22 years. So based on my background in finance, based on my 22-year history in politics, Citizens for Sound Money thought it would be advantageous to bring me on board to run their legislative initiative to push sound money legislation across the country.
Fantastic. So which group were you involved in politics with?
Quite a few.
Okay.
I like the cherry on top was me being the executive director of Young Americans of Freedom, which is the oldest youth conservative organization in America.
Mm-hmm.
And before and prior to that, I started working politics when I was 16 years old, and I started working on the Charlie Crist campaign. In fact, I got plugged into the Christian Family Coalition, which is a large family organization and lobbying group in Florida, and they're the ones that really plugged me in. And I worked for campaigns as a volunteer. Eventually, I started working on presidential campaigns. I was Mike Huckabee's presidential campaign in Iowa and in Florida. I've worked on gubernatorial, senatorial campaigns. I ran the Congressman Steve Stockman's campaign in Texas back in 2012, I think it was. So I have a lot of experience. I've worked in the local Republican Party in Florida. I mean, you name it. I've been all over the country. I've worked in D.C. I've worked in Texas, Florida, North Carolina, all across the country, different campaigns and initiatives and lobbying efforts.
Well, fantastic. Well, welcome to the program and glad to have you as part of Citizens for Sound Money. Talk about what your efforts are right now on the legislative side with regards to promoting sound money.
Absolutely. We have a robust legislative initiative. It's actually a 3-part package, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just highlight those parts of the legislative initiative here. So we have, this is just our proposal that we handed to legislators in Florida, and we've had a lot of success gaining support in Florida. So the first part of our legislative agenda is to recognize gold and silver as legal tender specie. A lot of people don't know this, but in the Constitution, it actually gives the states the right to mint money in the form of gold and silver coins, and that's it. Because of the issues with the Articles of Confederation and states just printing fiat currency and collapsing and being worth nothing, the U.S. Constitution, during the convention, they made sure no state could print money except in the form of gold and silver. So we are trying to get the state of Florida and the other states we're targeting to recognize gold and silver as legal tender specie and get rid of all tax liabilities for using any tender specie form of money. The second part is establishing a state depository of precious metals so that the state of Florida can start minting its own gold and silver. And in here, we're asking the states to put a percentage of their gold and silver in their state reserve budget and also state pension funds. Because what I didn't realize, I'm recently new into the sound money of gold and silver, and I didn't have any idea that over the last 20 years, gold has outperformed both the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial by a huge margin, 50+% over the last 20 years. So I presented this to the senators and some state reps, and they were amazed as well. And then the third part is digitizing the state's gold and silver and creating an asset-backed digital currency that either the state charter banks can use, and also the citizens within each state, that they can use gold and silver as a means of bartering and exchange and so forth, and actually using it to pay debts. And likewise, these three bills are individual bills the other states have tried to pass. We're drafting it as one omnibus bill where all three of these pieces of legislation will be pushed forward through the different state legislatures. So this is essentially, in a nutshell, what we're trying to do with our initiative. And we've gotten some amazing feedback from the state of Florida. So we went, myself and the executive director, Marion Ward of Citizens for Sound Money, we bought tickets and we went to Mining Disrupt, which is the world's largest Bitcoin mining conference. And I set up meetings with a state senator and state rep, and they were absolutely amazed. They were on board. So they agreed to be our sponsors. Then there was a speaker. His name is Jason Holloway. He is the fintech director that was appointed by the governor. It's a cabinet appointed position. He was so impressed. This was on Thursday of the last week of July that he was on the panel. We spoke to him. I shared this proposal with him. He told me the next day he wanted to present this to the Governor DeSantis. So the governor wasn't there because he's running for president, but he shared it with the executive office of the governor, which is the cabinet, and the cabinet was so impressed with the legislation, they believe the governor will likely want to push this through Florida. They asked us to create a policy analysis with details of how it will be implemented, the effects on the state of Florida, and so forth. And we're currently in that stage right now. We have a committee, a legislative committee that you've recently been added into at Citizens for Sound Money, and we're all working together to review the policy analysis, the different bills, and combining with Jason Holloway, which is the director of fintech policy in Florida, to come up with a package that we can present to the governor, and then he can either decide to move forward or not. He just had another meeting yesterday. He texted me and said that the cabinet's extremely excited about this policy analysis and the legislative initiative that we're trying to push through Florida.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, great stuff. And you said there are a couple other things going on as well?
Yeah, so one of the things they wanted was to see if we can get some people who are influential in the state of Florida in lobbying. So Tony Verdugo, I mentioned earlier that I got politics in Florida through the Christian Family Coalition. He has agreed to put out a statement saying that he supports what we're doing at Citizens Sound Money and has urged the legislature and Governor DeSantis to pass this legislative package in the state of Florida. And with this, we are looking to not just work in Florida, we're looking to target 5 states: Florida, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Utah, and Texas. We were involved in the Utah gold bill, but we got in late, and through my contacts in Austin, the leadership in Texas, it wasn't a top priority to get a gold-backed digital currency passed. So Texas meets every 2 years. We have an off year with Texas, so we're going to be focusing on those 4 states. However, to do that, we need to raise funds to deploy me and other lobbyists like Tony Verdugo in the different states, and because it's going to cost the lobbying costs, traveling, and so forth. We're looking to raise $128,000 by September 30th to start deploying ourselves and bringing in other organizations and lobbyists to push forward the Sound Money legislation. If we raise more than $128,000, we could even expand our scope from those 5 states to others we've already had. For instance, I met the Deputy State Attorney General of Oklahoma, who asked us to add them onto our legislative purview, and I shared with him, like, look, we have limited funds, and if we're able to raise the capital, we'll also look to target Oklahoma. There are other state officials that have reached out to us that are interested in what we're trying to do, and it's so it's timely that we're pushing this during the current economic times around the world with CBDCs, de-dollarization, and so forth.
Yeah, I agree with you, Daniel, and it's so important that we do get support for this. I jumped on board this because I believe making honest, using gold and silver and even other asset-backed digital currencies, whatever we can, maybe even private cryptos, allowing for alternatives. I'm of the Ron Paul thought that we just need to allow the people to choose. We need to put alternatives out there and allow people to choose. But more specifically, we need to enforce the Constitution. Article 1, Section 10 clearly states no state shall make anything other than gold and silver the coin of the realm and for legal tender. And yet that's not what we have. So we're not following, the precedent that the founding fathers put in place for us. I'm going to go ahead and Daniel, if we'll stop sharing screen for just a moment. For those of you that are interested in supporting this, we've already sent out an email to our network. I know that David Morgan did that as well, the Silver Guru. And if you're interested, go to Citizens for Sound Money and click on that donation page. We'd love for you guys to help us raise the money because we're fighting for you. We're fighting to bring gold and silver back as money again in the United States. We believe it's very important that we do that. And we believe that's the only way, Daniel, that we're going to be able to fight the oncoming onslaught of central bank digital currencies.
I agree 100%. And for the first 50 people who donate $100 or more, we're giving them 2 ounces of 1/5 ounce commemorative minted coins from Citizens for Sound Money. We so far 20 people have donated over $100, so we still have about 30 of those 10 packs available for the people who donate over $100 to Citizens for Sound Money.
And that's right. And in conjunction with Citizens for Sound Money, we're showing the United for Sound Money forum here. If you're interested in joining a forum of people that Daniel's a part of, I'm a part of, Citizens for Sound Money is a part of, it's United for Sound Money on Reddit. We established this forum for the purposes of talking about sound money. Updates on that legislation will be posted here as it goes along. And please join that community if you're at all interested in reestablishing sound money back, constitutional money back into the United States. Daniel, thank you so much for joining the program. We appreciate it. We'll have you back on to talk more as you guys make progress. And again, thank you. I'm very honored to be a part of that. Thank you for thinking of me and making me a part of that group. And I'll be fighting every day as well, to make sure that we get that legislation in front of people in the states that really want honest and open money. And I think that this is going to gain a lot of momentum as we go forward.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Rob, for having me on and being part of our legislative committee and doing everything you can to help push this forward.
Yep. Thank you so much, Daniel. We'll talk to you again.
All right. Thank you.